Hello everyone, welcome back to online lecture series on heat transfer. We are continuing our topic of heat exchanger. So let's begin. As usual, we will quickly revise our previous topics. In our previous lecture, we began with logarithmic mean temperature difference, in which we first took examples of condensation and boiling, condensation and evaporation, where the temperature of one fluid remains constant during the entire heat exchange process. And one thing which we can note here is the thermal heat, that is the temperature difference between two fluids, is maximum here at the beginning of heat exchange process, and it keeps on decreasing. This is the case of parallel flow heat exchanger. And then we took the case in which both the fluids are experiencing temperature difference. So here in parallel flow, it is the thermal heat is maximum at inlet and minimum at outlet in parallel flow, and in case of counter flow, there is not much variation in the thermal heat. So first we calculated the logarithmic mean temperature difference for parallel flow heat exchanger. And this is the way we have derived the value of theta m LMTD, that is equal to theta 1 minus theta 2 divided by log theta 1 by theta 2. The next was LMTD for counter flow heat exchanger. Similarly, we derived it for here for counter flow. The formula remains same, but only the difference is the value of theta 1 and theta 2. Now the next is correction factor for multipass arrangement. So here the relation that we derived is only applicable for single pass heat exchangers. For multi-tubes, several passes or cross flow in actual flow arrangement is considered by identifying a correlation factor F such that we need to multiply it for Q. And to obtain this value of correction factor F, we need to calculate two terms P and Z. And once we obtain this value of P and Z with the help of charts, we can obtain the value of the factor correlation factor F. As you can see here on the x-axis we are having P, and through this curves we can get the value of Z. So on the y-axis with intersection we can obtain the value of factor F. And these are the other curves for cross flow. The next theory is effectiveness and number of transfer units. So the LMTD approach is only useful when the outlet conditions are known. But in the real case, the outlet condition is not available, and we need to calculate them or find out them, as well as the heat transfer and surface area. So here we can do this by using these three relations. However, because of logarithmic nature of formula, we need to use trial and error method, which is quite lengthy. So we need to utilize another method for calculation of heat transfer. and that method is known as NTU approach, which is based on concept of capacity ratio, effectiveness and number of transfer units. And this approach will facilitate us the comparison between various types of heat exchangers which may be used for particular application. Now we will begin new topic of today's lecture, that is capacity ratio. The product M into C, that is mass into specific heat, of fluid flowing in heat exchanger is called as capacity rate, and it indicates the capacity of fluid to store the energy at a given rate. So it is the capacity rate is known as multiplication of mass and specific heat. So capacity rate for hot fluid is given by this formula, mH into Ch, and capacity of cold fluid is given as mc into Cc. Now one more thing that we should discuss here regarding these figures. First of all, you are well aware of the temperature profile in counter flow and parallel flow. So here, if you recall our standard formula, Q is equal to M C delta T. So here is equal to C into delta T. That will be the value of Q. So suppose we consider that Q is constant. Suppose we can say, let's assume that this multiplication is constant. Then what we can say regarding capital C and delta T, that capital C and delta T are inversely proportional to each other. That is, higher the value of this capacity ratio, the higher the value of this capacity rate, the lower will be the temperature difference. So here if you see, the value of Ch is greater than Cc in our case in this figure. So as Cc is higher, the temperature difference for hot fluid is low. As Ch is higher, the temperature difference for hot fluid is low, and as Cc is lower, the temperature difference for cold fluid is more. So that can be justified with figure also, that capital C is inversely proportional to delta T. And here also it can be seen that here Ch is higher than Cc, so the temperature difference of hot fluid is low, and as Cc is lower, the temperature difference for cold fluid is higher. So the capacity ratio capital C, the capacity ratio is a different thing, which is defined as the ratio of minimum to maximum capacity rate. So capacity ratio is ratio of capacity rates. In parallel or counter flow heat exchangers, the hot fluid or cold fluid may have the minimum value. So suppose here if MHCH is greater than MCCC, then the minimum value will be this. So it will be, the ratio is between minimum to maximum, so it will be MCCC upon MHCH. The next is, if MHCH is less than MCCC, then it will be a reverse one, that is here MHCH will be minimum capacity rate, so it will be in numerator and higher will be in denominator. The temperature distribution along the exchanger length would be different depending upon the capacity ratio that can be visible from this figure. The relative temperature change of two fluids is inversely proportional to the respective capacity rate. So here this statement is justified with this relationship. Okay. The one with a smaller value of capacity rates experiencing the greater change in the temperature. When MHCH is greater than MCCC, that is in the counter flow arrangement, as you can see, the temperature tend to converge at inlet, as it can be seen here that they are converging. However, the temperature would be diverging at inlet. The temperature would be diverging when MHCH is less than MCCC, which is not shown in this figure. So in reverse case it will be diverging. Now our next definition is effectiveness. It is defined as the ratio of actual heat transfer to maximum theoretical heat transfer. So formula is quite straightforward. Epsilon is equal to actual heat transfer divided by maximum heat transfer. So Q actual is, we have already seen during our first lecture of heat exchanger, based on MC delta T, and the maximum possible heat transfer Q max is achieved if fluid undergoes the temperature change equal to the maximum temperature difference available. So if you see what is the maximum temperature difference available in a heat exchanger, that is the temperature of hot fluid at inlet minus temperature of cold fluid. So both for parallel and counter flow heat exchanger, the maximum temperature difference is equal to the inlet temperature of hot fluid minus inlet temperature of cold fluid. So this will be our maximum available temperature difference, TH1 minus TC1. The maximum possible heat transfer occurs when the fluid with smaller heat capacity rate undergoes the maximum temperature difference available. So as our formula is this, Q is equal to C into delta T. So now it is required that delta T has to be maximum in this case. That is, to keep this delta T maximum, value of C should be minimum, because that is the nature that we studied in our previous slide, that if C is minimum, then and then delta T would be maximum. So here the maximum heat transfer rate is given by Q max will be equal to C minimum into TH1 minus TC1. So the effectiveness of heat exchanger, that is based on this formula we will write down, is equal to actual heat transfer divided by maximum possible heat transfer. So it can be written in this way, that denominator will remain Qmax, that is C minimum into TH1 minus TC1, and in the numerator we can keep the Qs for hot fluid, and we can also keep it for cold fluid, that is also written over here. So either here hot fluid or cold fluid may have minimum capacity rate. So C minimum has two options. C minimum can have two options. It can be CH or it can be CC. So suppose out of CH and CC, CH is minimum, then we can utilize the previous formula. Previous formula was epsilon is equal to CH into TH1 minus TH2 divided by C minimum TH1 minus TC1. So in this case the value of C minimum is CH in this case, that is CH is less than CC. So this will get eliminated because C minimum itself is CH. So now we are only left with this TH1 minus TH2 divided by TH1 minus TC1. Similarly, if CH is greater than CC, then it will be based on this formula, where here CC and C minimum will get eliminated because here we have CC as C minimum. The subscript on epsilon designate that which fluid has minimum heat capacity rate. Apparently the effectiveness is simply ratio of temperature change of a fluid with smaller heat capacity to maximum temperature difference available in the heat exchanger. So this is important. That it is a ratio of temperature change of fluid with smaller heat capacity to maximum temperature difference available in the heat exchanger. That can be validated with these two equations. Now the next is number of transfer units. It is a measure of size of heat exchanger, and it provides some indication of size of heat exchanger that we will see. It is defined as UA upon MCCC when MHCH is greater than MCCC. So UA upon the minimum capacity rate, that is in this relationship. Here we are having this. The next is UA upon C minimum when UA upon MHCH when MHCH is less than MCCC. That is, the denominator is always taken as minimum capacity rate, and NTU means number of transfer unit. The denominator is always the smaller thermal heat capacity rate, and therefore we can write down NTU as UA upon C minimum. So our next theory is effectiveness for parallel flow heat exchanger. So let's begin derivation of this. So we will utilize the same figure of which we used in LMTD. So let's begin now. Our objective is to calculate the effectiveness for parallel flow heat exchanger first. So let's begin with our basic formula Q. I will not explain this figure again because this is already done in our previous lecture. So dq is equal to u into dA into EH minus TC. So is equal to, here we can write down it as MH CH into minus DTH is equal to MC CC DTC. If you want, you can pause this video and you can draw this chart, so that will be helpful for analysis purpose. So now, instead of MHCH, we can write down the capacity rate of hot fluid, that is capital CH into minus VPH is equal to CC into DTC. That is the value of dq. So based on this, what we can obtain here, that dTH is equal to minus dq upon ch into dtc is equal to dq upon cc. Now what we can do is we can take difference of these two, that is dth minus dtc is equal to minus dq into 1 upon ch plus 1 upon cc. So now you can write down d into th minus tc here is equal to minus dq into 1 upon ch plus 1 upon cc. So here dth minus tc is equal to, instead of dq we can write down this formula, u dA th minus tc. So here minus u dA th minus tc into 1 over ch plus 1 over cc. So finally what we can do, we can take this temperature on the left hand side. So we can now integrate this. So ln th2 minus tc2 divided by th1 minus tc1 is equal to minus ua into 1 divided by ch plus 1 divided by cc. So we will keep this formula up to this. Now we will go to the definition of effectiveness, that is epsilon is equal to Ch into Th1 minus Th2 TH2 divided by C minimum into TH1 minus TC1. So here we can write down epsilon into C minimum into TH1 minus TC1 is equal to CH into TH1 minus TH2. So here what we will require is the value of exit temperature. So here epsilon into C minimum divided by CH into TH1 minus TC1 is equal to TH1 minus TH2. So finally we are getting the value of exit temperature of hot fluid. TH2 is equal to TH1 minus epsilon into C minimum divided by CH into TH1 minus TC1. So this is the value of TH2. Similarly, we can obtain the value for epsilon TC2, which is obtained by epsilon is equal to CC TC2 minus TC1 divided by C minimum into TH1 minus TC1. So finally we are getting TC2 is equal to TC1 plus epsilon into C minimum divided by CC into TH1 minus TC1. So we have obtained these two values. So now what we can do is we can take difference of these two, that is TH1 minus TH2, sorry, TH2 minus TC2, which is equal to TH1 minus TC1 minus C minimum into TH1 minus TC2 C1 epsilon into 1 upon Ch plus 1 upon Cc. So finally what we will get here is equal to Th1 minus Tc1 will be common into 1 minus C minimum into epsilon into 1 upon Ch plus 1 upon Cc. So this will be the value of Th2 minus Tc2. And now what we will do is we will put this value in our epsilon formula, that is here we will, so not in epsilon formula, we will put this in his ln formula. So here you can continue at this space. Ln into the ratio that we found is 1 minus epsilon into C minimum into 1 upon Ch plus 1 upon Cc is equal to minus U A into 1 upon Ch plus 1 upon Cc. So here now 1 minus epsilon into C minimum into 1 upon Ch plus 1 over Cc is equal to exp minus UA into 1 upon Ch plus 1 upon Cc. So here we require epsilon, so implies that 1 minus exp minus UA into 1 divided by Ch plus 1 divided by Cc divided by C minimum into 1 divided by Ch plus 1 divided by Cc is equal to epsilon. So here few more things that we can do is we can take Ch common here, so epsilon is equal to 1 minus exp into minus UA upon Ch into 1 plus Ch upon Cc divided by C minimum upon Ch into 1 plus Ch upon Cc. So here let Ch to be equal to C minimum, then epsilon will be equal to 1 minus exp into minus UA upon C minimum into 1 plus C minimum upon C maximum divided by 1 plus C minimum upon C maximum. So finally what we will get here, we will get equal to 1 minus exp into minus ntu into 1 plus C divided by 1 plus C. So here we have assumed CH to be C minimum, but even if we take another case, that is CC is equal to C minimum, we will get the same answer. So this is the derivation of effectiveness. So now I will explain you this graph later on. Now we will continue with our effectiveness for counter flow heat exchanger. So for that, first let's copy this figure. So let's see if we can copy few of our equations here. So here you can pause this video and copy this chart for analysis purpose. Now in case of counter flow heat exchanger, here this first formula will remain as it is. This is as it is, and here this is MHCH into minus dTH because it is losing the heat, and here the cold fluid is in opposite direction flowing, so we can put negative sign over here, minus sign will be present. So here it will have minus Cc into minus dTc. So similarly we can put a minus sign over here as well as minus sign present over here also. So once we take this difference, we will have a change here, that is this will be plus, and here we will have Cc minus Ch. So you can check this by yourself. When you take this difference dTh minus dTc, you will get this. So here also this will remain plus, this will be plus everywhere, and this will be CC CH. Here we will put a minus sign. So this equation will be changed. Here also we will have this as a minus C minus CH. And here the temperature limits will change because of counter flow arrangement. So here we will have TH1 into TC2, here TH2 and TC1. If you see, the integral limits are reversed here and a negative sign is put here. Okay, the remaining things are already known to you, and these two things will remain as it is. This whole thing will remain same because it is simply the formula of effectiveness. So now let's begin our derivation part. So here if I need to write down this equation over here, then we can say that TH1 minus TC2 divided by TH2 minus TC1 is equal to EXP into minus UA into 1 upon Cc minus 1 upon Ch. So now we can put the value of TC2 and TH2 which are obtained over here, these two. Okay, this will not be applicable. This difference is not useful in our counter flow. So we will only utilize these two values. So we will be directly putting these two values there. So here now TH1 is as it is. Instead of TH2 we can put C minimum upon Cc into, okay, here TH1 minus Tc1 minus C minimum upon C Th1 minus Tc1 into epsilon divided by Th1 minus Tc1 minus C minimum upon CH into Th1 minus Tc1 into epsilon is equal to exp into minus UA into 1 upon Cc minus 1 upon Ch. So we require the value of epsilon. So we can take Th1 minus Tc1 common here. So we will only left with 1 minus C minimum upon Cc into Th1 minus Tc1 into epsilon divided by 1 minus C minimum upon Cc into here this is not present, so here we will only have epsilon. And here also we will have, this is the value of Ch into epsilon is equal to exp into minus UA into 1 upon Cc minus 1 upon Ch. So here finally what we will get, we require epsilon, so 1 minus C minimum upon Cc into epsilon is equal to exp minus UA into 1 divided by Cc minus 1 divided by Ch into minus C minimum upon Ch into epsilon into exp into minus UA into 1 upon Cc minus 1 upon Ch. So here further writing down 1 minus exp into minus UA into 1 upon Cc minus 1 upon Ch is equal to C minimum upon Cc into epsilon minus C minimum upon Ch epsilon into exp minus UA into 1 upon Cc minus 1 upon Ch. CH. So finally we can obtain the value of epsilon is equal to 1 minus exp into minus UA. Let's take CC common here, so upon CC into 1 minus CC upon CH divided by C minimum upon CC epsilon minus C minimum upon CH epsilon into EXP into minus UA upon CC into 1 minus CC upon CH. So here we will assume CC to be minimum. Let CC to be equal to C minimum. So finally what we will get, epsilon is equal to 1 minus EXP into minus UA upon C minimum into 1 minus C minimum divided by C maximum divided by, here okay, epsilon is not present here, so here we will have only 1 minus C minimum upon C maximum into, here also epsilon is not there, so here EXP into minus UA upon C minimum into 1 minus C minimum upon C maximum. So finally what we will be getting here, epsilon is equal to 1 minus EXP into minus NTU 1 minus C divided by 1 minus C into EXP into minus NTU 1 minus C. So this is the value of effectiveness for counter flow heat exchanger. So let's copy this. So this is the way we can derive effectiveness. Now regarding those graphs, these graphs are nothing but, here you can obtain the value of effectiveness over here on y-axis with NTU on horizontal axis, that is number of transfer units, and the capacity ratio. So the intersection of this vertical line and this curve will provide us effectiveness, and the same is applicable here with this NTU line and this capacity ratio curve. We can obtain the effectiveness, and these are similar graphs for effectiveness of various kinds of heat exchanger. So we can directly get the value of effectiveness from these charts. The next is limiting values of capacity ratio C. So in boiling and condensation only phase change happens. So one temperature remains at constant, one fluid remains at constant temperature throughout the heat exchanger. So here as I was telling you that C is proportional to 1 upon delta T. So if delta T is 0, then C will go to infinitive. So because of that, if delta T tends to 0, then C tends to infinitive, and it will be the maximum one. So the ratio of C min to C max will be 0. So because of that, our capacity ratio will be 0. So effectiveness expression reduces to this, because if you put that value of C equal to 0, we will get this answer. This is both for parallel and counter. In case of gas turbine recuperators, the exhaust gases after expansion in turbine are used to heat the compressed air. And here both fluids have equal thermal heat capacity, so C will be equal to 1 in this case, because MHCH will be equal to MCCC. So for parallel flow it will be like this, and for counter flow it will be like this, that is NTU into NTU divided by 1 plus NTU. And there are two topics that I am giving you in self study, that is introduction to heat pipe and compact heat exchanger. So I hope that this will be done by yourself, because these are very small topics and can be easily done by yourself. So this is the end of this chapter and end of this lecture. So thank you for watching this video.